Madhu Bhojwani, Monisha Advani, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Both of you are having quite a busy Bell Bottom released 2 weeks ago. The Empire dropped just recently on Hotstar, and next week the Mumbai Diaries will be premiering. That is created by Nikhil Advani. Have you guys in this busy time, have you guys got time to sit down and analyze what worked and what did not, both in the case of Bell Bottom and the Empire?
Let me tell you that there are lots of learnings. I can honestly tell you that writing today has become so pivotal in the process of any content creation. Earlier, it was very much a hustle about, how could you get, what are the actors that you get on, the stars. It was all about that, right? And I think the empowerment of our audiences has only been underlined with the fact that we've become a digital economy, or we're aiming, or we're moving towards becoming more intrinsically a digital economy. And I think the level of empowerment that consumer has dictates the fact that, you have to be very much on the ball as far as content is concerned, as far as the writing is concerned. So I think for us, the big takeaway is that as we have always attempted, I always say firstly, we're grateful that there are more bouquets coming our way than brickbats. But having said that, we don't want to rest on our laurels, or in the case of the Empire, on our crown. And we're working very hard at constantly taking that feedback on and seeing what we can do to bring more spit and polish to our work henceforth.
Batla House, Satyamev Jayate, Indu Ki Jawani are some of the films made by Emmay Entertainment that have multiple producers attached to it. To somebody who's not familiar with the working, I'm very curious to know who does what when a film has like 5 producers on who get the producer credit, and who calls the shots.
Vishal, very good point. And I think if you look at all our projects, barring a few of them, one of our mainstay partners has been T-Series. And we're very, very fortunate for that, because one of the reasons why this partnership, apart from the fact that we've been very supportive of one another, is the fact that the philosophy has always been to support creativity. That's very important for Emmay Entertainment, because at the end of the day, we are creators of content.
Monisha, if I can just add to that.
Please.
So Vishal, more pertinently to answer your question in terms of role, while there are multiple partners, I think it would be fair to say that Emmay has worked very hard at developing very interesting content. So in a sense, we are the instigators, we are the initiators, and we believe that the content creation germinates at our end. Yes, we partner with studios and we partner with like-minded people. However, the heavy weightlifting on giving fruition and shape and form to the ideas squarely rests with us.
To both of you, you guys are in limelight since 2013 when you produced D-Day. But I still couldn't find a dedicated Wikipedia page in your name. Is there any particular reason behind that?
Very good point. I turned to my marketing team and I asked them, why is it that everything points to Nikhil Advani? And then they reminded me the company is called Emmay. So I'll let you figure out what that stands for.
That's not fair, Monisha.
No, but it's a good question. It's a good question, Vishal. Madhu and I are really quite driven to keep things moving in the background and ensuring that the operations and the corporate nature of our business is something that's prioritized over the vanity that's normally associated with this business.
Which is your favorite part of filmmaking process? Is it the business, script development, getting a director on board, or casting?
For me personally, I think it'll be probably different from Madhu, but for me, the excitement is always in getting the script right. Nothing thrills me more when I hear a story for the first time and bang on day, at the moment you hear it, it takes different shape after some time, but that's the idea, that's the germ, that's going to work. That's my start. That's the start of the journey, but I love that portion the most. Madhu?
Yeah, so for me, Vishal, I remember very early in this business, I heard Shah Rukh once say that, when he completes a film, he completely detaches from it because of the fact that, his job is done. And I completely identify with that, because for me, idea to translation into physical form of a film is what one can control, and for me, making a film and getting it to its complete stage from ideation, seeing an idea transform into actually, what you envisaged in your mind is the toughest part of the process, and it's the only part of the process that you can really control, because once you make it, you're pretty much setting it free, because the outcome of what you make is not in your hands. So for me, I think that the part that I most cherish and I look forward to is when a project hits all the markers, and we are able to deliver, not just of course within budget, but also we're able to hit the markers where all the creative demands of the project are concerned. So for me, doing the job, completing the job is really, really the most important part, and it really gives me the most satisfaction.
That means I thought you said shooting, but it's okay. Is it correct to say the biggest part or biggest job of a producer is to make things work and get the balls rolling? Because it's her money at stake, and everybody in the end will take their money and go home. It's the producer who is left with the film and its fate. And do you think that a producer today gets the kind of respect he or she deserves?
I think personally, because of the nature of the business being a gig economy, you're quite right. We get left with the permanency of whatever gets produced. And so therefore, even though a producer's role can sometimes be, it's so dichotomous, because sometimes you're a surrogate, right? Because you're making this and then there's a studio that's going to really come along and acquire it. But the nurturing process, and I'm using very, you're very kind to say her money. And so therefore I'm saying very clearly that there is a nurturing element to this business. And there's a nurturing nature to it because of the fact that it is a gig economy. And so it takes, all our inner strength to keep things together and have it move through, in synchronicity, through the ups and downs, whether it's a pandemic, whether it is, an errant artist, whether it is a situation where, which is beyond your controls. You have various force majeures that emerge, but the project still stays and you have to hold it together and bring it through. And I think that being the glue, I think, is something that I'd like to immodestly and humbly submit that Madhu and I have really learned how to do that a bit.
You all are strong personalities. What type of arguments you have at Emmay Entertainment? And has it happened once or maybe multiple times where, either one of you walked out from the office to cool his or her head down? Because there must be understandings and arguments.
Oh my God.
Vishal, I have to ask a question. Do you have a hidden camera in our office? Because what you just described, I think happens practically every day or every other day. And I think that it's very important, or it's very healthy, right? That you have disagreements in any relationship. Monisha, Nikhil and myself will a lot of times agree to disagree, and we are very voluble about our opinions. But I will tell you this, Vishal, that we may storm out of the office, bang doors, and there's a lot of that happens. I'd like to believe that we have something very unique between the three of us. And it's inexplicable because it binds us. We come from the same value system, and we know that this is for keeps. So irrespective of how much we take pot shots at each other, or pull our hair and do all sorts of things to voice our opinion, we do know this, that at the end of the road, we are going to be standing together.
Nikhil is so we share parents. We're brother and sister. There's 11 months apart. Huge amounts of sibling rivalry while growing up. But I think when we started working together, I discovered two things about my brother that I never knew. The first thing was I discovered Nikhil as a voice, as in he shouts. And he's notorious for shouting. And I was shocked. I remember going to Madhu after the first day of work and saying, Madhu, why is he shouting? Do you ever remember Nikhil raising his voice? The second thing, and I'm really going to be putting myself out on a limb on this one, because he'll hold this probably interview for life with me. I discovered he's just relentlessly passionate. I couldn't believe the man's passion, his level of intelligence, And I'm conceding to the fact that he's the smartest out of us that our parents had. But his depth of knowledge on subjects just fascinates me. Having said that, I also think that the three of us, the one thing, Vishal, that helps us is we accept mistakes. All three of us. It takes a little time sometimes, but we all three accept mistakes. And we're happy to say we got it wrong and then learn from it. And I think that is really the hallstay of us. There are a lot of companies that came up before us and along with us. And I remember were far more high profile. And I remember a lot of people saying, why can't you be like that company or this company? And now I'm happy to say that we are the company.
You guys been making films with A-list actors. What is the weirdest demand both of you have come across by a movie star?
Oh my God.
That would be telling, and I don't think it's fair, Vishal. I think that
You don't need names.
No, I won't take a name. Let me just say it, Madhu. I know how anecdotal this can be, but an actor once asked us for a hairstylist who had been deported from the country and was of French origin. And he was lost somewhere in Paris, and this actor refused to report back on set till we found a way to bring this hairstylist back. And I can tell you, it was a crazy night. I couldn't believe I was hearing that as a requirement, and we were held hostage to the shoot. And I remember turning to Nikhil, and Nikhil quickly turned to his role. I said, Nikhil, how do we do this? So at that same time, the whole Charlie Hebdo incident had happened in France. And so all the embassies were shut. So it was difficult for us to get across to the Indian High Commission in Paris as well. But fortunately, Nikhil had some connections that took him to somebody in the US High Commission who made a call to people in the Paris High Commission. We managed to trace this guy, and I can tell you, he was the hairstylist who had been deported for whatever reason he had been. He came back on a red carpet because we had to get the shoot done. So if that's a story for you, how far we're willing to go to make sure that we get the job done, there you go. That's something that I always keep in my mind.
Ever happened that you come across a script that you said no to, and later it turned out to be a blockbuster?
Yeah, there is. And I can't tell you which one it is, but I can tell you it really pinched me a lot because I was in the next theater with my film and I was looking at everybody streaming into the other one. So yeah, there are times when we take the wrong bet.
Has it happened with you guys where, a big actor called you with a script saying, let's make it, and you felt as a producer that, this is not going to make money? But then how do you say no to him?
I think you should just be honest. The good thing is that with Madhu and me, most of them see us as being very non-filmy. And I think most of the actors that we work with rely very heavily on, as they get to know us, they realize that there is, again, like I said, we don't rely on vanity. We're relying on a balance of commercial sensibility as well as intrinsic values. And I'm happy to say that when we share that insight, most of them listen to it.
But Vishal, I will also leave you with this one last note, which is when you made a statement about saying no. In our company, it's a known fact, and while it's a very, very tough job, the three of us rotate the mantle of saying no, when it's required. Of course, when it comes to certain areas, we have our domains, and each of us exercise our veto rights very smartly.
And then finally, let me put this, very sorry, but I'm just saying, everybody is gifted with one special talent. Do you guys know each other? Like, do you guys know who has what strength as a producer?
I can tell you that Madhu's strength is saying no. and she handles the financial portfolio. So that should tell you why we are where we are. Due credit to her completely. She handles finance operations, and so that's not an easy task. And so the unfortunate, unpopular role of saying no always rests more than Nikhil and my share on Madhu's. So it's very clear. Nikhil is creative, Madhu's finance and operations, and my role is more strategic, which is I work. Very often, and Madhu's going to again frown, but I am anecdotally known as Fevicol because I'm there. I keep it together, and but most of the times I prefer to stay invisible.
Both of you own a recruitment company before you entered the movie business. How is the understanding of of helping people with the career choices helped you here in the movie business?
So, Vishal, I'll say one thing that, Monisha and I have always been in businesses where the biggest asset has always been people, right? And every day that you come to work and then you leave the office, your plant and machinery leaves through the door and you don't know whether they're coming back the next day, right? So it's very important that you understand and recognize that whatever you do or the product that you create is just as good as your team is, or rather you're just as strong as the weakest link. So it's very important to understand that recruitment, retention, and reward, these are the 3 R's, the 3 pillars of how you deal with people, how you manage organizations, which I think Monisha and I advocated when we were in the HR business, and in fact we practiced it all along in our own company. And so when we founded Emmay Entertainment, it was really no different. Of course, it was a completely new business for us, mind you. We came into this business 10 years ago completely cold, having no knowledge of how production works. We only knew that we enjoy movies and we watch films, and it's all very glamorous, and it seems like a pretty easy peasy job. But little did we know that we were going to probably work the hardest we've ever worked in our lives, and that's what the last 10 years has been all about. But yeah, so I think that some of those lessons we continue to apply that in what we do, because people are at the core of what we do here, right, Monisha?
I think so, but I think one of the other things, Vishal, that I think what's seen the tenacity in our company and the resilience in our company is we philosophically took a decision to not be a Friday to Friday company. What we realized is that very quickly observing things around us, every Friday you were celebrating another company, or you were, there was a death knell being run for another for a production house which didn't have a successful run at the box office. And we found that ironic, because I said, you can't be judged by a single product outing. How do you change that? So philosophically, we changed our entire mindset to be a Monday to Monday company. What that meant was that no matter what we do on a Friday, whether we have a success, whether we don't have a success, we must come back to work. And that discipline of coming back to work meant we had to create, that kind of perpetuity in our and cash flows in our business, which came from, again, advocating what we had learned in our previous business. When you do more, you have more. And in doing so, we have to set up new metrics for ourselves. One of the metrics that we use, interestingly, at Emmay, I'm happy to share this here. It's not, I know we may be in isolation right now as a company that does that, but I would be happy if more companies did that, which is we measure the number of shoot days we have. A lot of companies are looking at how many projects they have, rather than looking at how many shoot days they have. And what shoot days does is it tells you the level of engagement of what Madhu put in, personnel. And given the fact that it's a gig economy, automatically, as you increase your shoot days, and I'm happy to report today at Emmay Entertainment, when we started out, we were probably doing 50 days of shoot in a year. We're today doing more than 600 days, hitting 700 days a year, which means at any given time, we have 2 units shooting somewhere in this country or in this universe. And that's a great feeling, because that keeps that, the insulates us firstly from outcome, like Madhu put very earlier, the variable of the outcome. And it keeps us as an organization that has scale and capacity.
Thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Vishal.
Vishal.